it is good to understand politicians look for what divides and unites.
Yeah.
This nation, they know majority of the people have Christian names, but they're not Christians. But in this nation, majority of the people fear God, even drunkards.
Yes.
I tell you today, we'll have a calamity, a drunkard will write and say, let us pray for Kenya.
Yes.
There is a fear of God in this nation. And so majority of the politicians knows that faith unites. So they identify as people of faith so that they can get the election or the voters of the people. That's why there is no politician in this nation except Wajakoya that has not identified with the church. Both Azimio and UDA, they look for the church in some way to look like they're members of the church. Remember when there was a meeting in Kasarani? Yes. They ordained UDA leaders. The next time we saw Raila with a high priest garment. Yes. It was a political statement of saying, nyinyi mmemwagiliwa mafuta, mimi ndo namwagiliana mafuta. I have a high priest garment. So we already know that politicians in this nation understand that Christianity is a card of politics. And you can't just get power without pulling a Christian card. So it's being used. Yeah, so the church must stand and say, these are different entity. We are not here to put people to power. We are here to put the values of God above the values of the nation.
So at that point, you see the deception coming through where they are trying to take honest Christians and trying to unite them behind them, and they're not even following the values.
Of course, that's what we see. Because when you hear, you see the values, the policies versus what the people are saying, they may look a little bit off. But on the other breath, let me say that there is no perfect politician. Because politics is a process. We are maturing. We are 50 years old in our democracy. Looking at nations like America, 200 years old. So we also need to appreciate the baby steps that are happening, that we can reach a place and talk about the president on public TV and you still go and sleep and no one arrest you. You know, back in the days of Moi era, you couldn't even think, not even speak. Police alikuwa kuangalia na kuuliza, why are you thinking bad about the president? You know, kuja twende. So that right now you can criticize the president and all that. That means our democracy is developing. We can have debates and people sell their values on national TV. And us believe as voters, we do it. So we are still growing in our democracy. So what we are looking at this hour, of course, is begin to see the globalists are coming very fast. The people with the concept and the globalists are they just need 5 years. So that they can change policy and change rules. Anyone who becomes president, if the policy says you can marry gay people, then the policy says, no matter who becomes the president, you become the president and you vow by the constitution. So the globalists are looking at policy. And so the church must look at people that have their interest at heart. But now, majority of the people that have interest of the church, some of them, their integrity rather, may not be the best. Because of cultural and how politics were taken, but they might have the interest. So when you look at the political circle, sometimes you become a little bit biased. You say, huyu ni mwizi, lakini huyu mwizi atanifavor. Siku ile ataingia power, huyu naweza ongea naye kuliko huyu. So that now you look at that level, because we are maturing in our democracy, the conversation that we are having today could not be had 10 years back. I could not even talk. But now we can talk it. That tells you in the next 10 years, some of us and some of you, we are going now to create debates and put values out there and say there is a team. We have our president, can he go? We have a Christian president, the one from Agano. These are good gestures. I like it. He may not have the numbers, but the conversation began. I'll give you a very good example. There was a president who used to run in the days of Moi. A young man from, an old man from Dagoretti. He was the father of KJ. KJ, the MP right now, is the MP of Dagoretti. The father used to vie for presidency. He never won, but he began a conversation. The son today is in parliament to implement the conversation of the father. Some of us may begin the conversations. You are the guys to advance it. You are the guys to be doing presidential debates and saying, tell us the values that you have for the nation. It might, beginning a conversation is very hard. You'll not be popular, but the conversation has begun. But I want to assure you, with the time, it will be black and white. It will be Republican, Democrats. It will be, this is the church, and these are the values. And any politician that supports these values, we shall support him. We'll not reach the place of hearing what you have to tell us. We have our document. We have legal practitioners who come up with a legal document and say, listen, you have the constitution, we have our legal document. Will you support this document? If you're not supporting it, forget the church. This is the church talking. The professional lawyers, legal, constitutional personnel are the ones talking. I like Catholic for one thing. Catholic, they have a medical practitioner. Anything that comes in the nation, even the COVID vaccines, they tested and they said this was not good for human consumption. This polio dose is not good. This is good. So the church has to arise to keep the government accountable and in charge. We need to arise and say corruption has entered. President, unga imefika 300. Can you do something? Because we are stakeholders of this nation. And if the church is the majority, then why don't we be ruled by a church member? Democracy is the majority rule. And I know when other religions get the power that we got today, where you have a church member in State House, they will build their stuff and they will introduce their religion. Yes. Because other religions, they are first members of their religion. Before they become members of a state, they will introduce their stuff. They will do their stuff. So right now, let's take advantage of this and see how we can build. But the conversation has begun and I'm happy.